Hello everybody and welcome to another spoiler roundup here for the Core Set 2026. Guardian week has started and we've started to get some drip Guardian spoilers here that I'm going to kind of cover, talk about, and kind of just give some general thoughts on the cards and how the Guardian class has been shaping up with these spoilers. The first thing, as they always do, is they like to start with the back of the Investigator card. So we here have Daniela Reyes, Guardian, level 0-5, Survivor, level 0-2, neutral card 0-5. Her deck building requirements are Daniela's Wrench, and In Harm's Way is her signature weakness, and the Wrench is her signature asset. One thing is, for people, I am using both AncientEvils.com and Arkham Build to look at these cards, because usually people are just trying to... people usually ask how I'm doing all this. So Daniela Reyes being Survivor was not really a surprise to me personally. There's a lot of times I've noticed in our own PBG Discord where people are like hypothesizing things for characters that sound really neat and a little bit like more like pie in the sky dreaming stuff. There was like a theory that Daniela Reyes has now changed her ways a little bit and is now Guardian like 05, Rogue 02. And I think that concept is relatively neat and interesting. But I think that the thing that about this that unfortunately for the core set and the investigator decks that we're going to be getting is, I think that people are kind of lost in the sauce in the fact that they're looking at this core set with the entire collection in mind, when realistically, this is the smallest slice of this whole thing that we can have, right? Like, this is supposed to be like for new players diving in. It's going to be very simple, and I think that unfortunately for the players who like things to be a little bit over the top, it's going to be, because of that, a little bit boring. But what's fun though is that now this is kind of like, especially with the reveal of Trish and Dexter earlier this last month during the in-flight report, is that we can now kind of assume that Trish is going to be Rogue Seeker, and Dexter is going to likely be Mystic Rogue. So that's where the difference was compared to the first core set, where the Rogue was Rogue Guardian, and the Survivor was Guardian Seeker. So there's some kind of like changes that came with it. So it's not an exact one-to-one from that. Daniela, we don't have too much to talk about beyond that because we don't know what her actual ability is officially. We've seen some leaks from official sources, but not the official FFG. So I will look forward to that once this in the next roundup, which is going to be next Sunday. All right, let's talk about some cards though. We have the Winchester Model 12. This is a 4-cost, 5 experience firearm weapon that takes up 2 hand slots. It uses 3 ammo as an action, spend 1 ammo, fight. You get +3 fist for this attack. If you succeed, this attack deals +1 damage for each point you succeeded by, to a maximum of +4 damage. If you fail and would deal damage to another investigator, this attack deals 1 damage for each point you fail by, to a maximum of 5 damage. So this is just shotgun, essentially. It's shotgun with some updated wording. I'll get shotgun on the screen for you so you can kind of compare. But it's not exactly shotgun, but the intention is that this card is shotgun. So living in a similar space, you can see that like this one, it's costing 4, this one costs 5, this one's 4 experience, this one's 5 experience, this one uses 3 ammo, this one uses 2 ammo, this one gives you +3, this one gives you +3, this one, it deals +1 damage for each point you succeed by, this one, it instead of a standard damage, it deals 1 damage for each point you succeed by. So it's one of those awkward things where if you ever succeed by 0, with the shotgun, you deal no damage. But with this one, you'll still deal 1 damage. But otherwise, the cards are very similar. Deals damage for each point you fail by. For each, it deals 1 damage for each point you fail by. So, I mean, I think technically if you fail by 0 for this one doesn't deal damage, and the other one does. But this is essentially just the shotgun. I think this is not really a surprise to see here. Nick, one of the designers on the team, is a big shotgun fan. They like the decks that come with it, and I'm not surprised to see this here. And I think that it being supported like this is really nice. I've seen some people also question why we got a different shotgun, especially when they're so similar. And I think that this is, I mean, I think obviously we see just the fact that this shotgun is a little bit, the changes are nice, right? Like 5 and 4, pretty close to 4 and 5, but in gameplay you don't feel this like that. Like I'd rather pay 4 for my weapon than 5. The extra shot is really nice. The change to the way the damage is dealt, I think, is less of an important factor for this card. But I think ultimately why there is a different shotgun is for the reason I just stated. I think that Nick is a lover of the shotgun. And what do lovers of a card want in their deck? Redundancy. So it's one of those things where now there is a little bit less pressure on your shotgun deck, because instead of running 2 shotguns, you could run 3. You could even run 4 if the XP was high later in the campaign. And it means you're more likely to hit your shotgun, and you potentially could have rotating shotguns, which gives you a little bit more openness to it. So I think this one works better as like a new card as opposed to one of those like revised reprints or whatever they're calling them. And I think that this is going to be a nice weapon for people who like shotguns. And let me tell you, if you haven't played with a shotgun, you should try it out, especially in 3-player. It takes a little bit of less pressure off to like have to kill small things, and it works really well. It's a very fun gun, and I'm happy that there's a version of this in the new core set. So, hell yeah. All right, we got a weakness here, which is called Wounded. Revelation, put Wounded in play in your threat area. Force, the first time you move each turn, take 1 damage. As a double action, discard Wounded. I think that this is actually a really nice basic weakness. I think as a whole, the basic weaknesses we've seen in the revised core are really nice. I like Nameless Lurker, I like the Gold Bug, I like Wounded. I think they all like kind of poke you in interesting ways. And I think that they are generic enough, like the actual original core set basic weaknesses, that they're going to be impactful. And there are going to be times when they're not going to matter. And there's going to be times where it's like, oh, I hate this, right? There is some counterplay, right? Like you can move during the Mythos phase. Like if a Night Gaunt drags you, you're not going to take the damage. If you can find a way to move during the enemy phase. Each turn includes your other investigators' turns. So if you, for example, try to use Safeguard to move while wounded, you will take the damage. But like most basic weaknesses, the easiest thing you can do is just take the double action to get rid of it. You can say Sayonara, and then you will take a lot less damage going forward. I think that this is obviously less scary than something like Internal Injury, but I think at the wrong time, this can really throw a wrench into things in the way that Internal Injury can't. I think that Internal Injury is a scarier card if you look at it in a vacuum, but I actually think that Wounded is going to matter more in bursts compared to some of the other weaknesses. I think people are underestimating their rare chance when this comes up and they were planning on moving 2 or 3 times in their turn, and now suddenly they need to weigh the fact, are we taking this damage, or are we going to just use some actions up here? And I think that is what makes a very fun weakness, unless it is something that can completely be nullified, and everyone's got to move. So I don't think that this can be completely nullified. I think it can be mitigated, but I think this is going to affect all investigators, which is really neat. So yeah, I think it's a good basic weakness. Also by Raven Studio and FFG. I haven't seen that before. All right, next one is we have the Sledgehammer level 3. That's right, not level 0, not level 4. This is level 3. So let's pull up the other Sledgehammers because I think they're actually pretty relevant here. Sledgehammer. Look at that, they're all here. So, I'll read the card first before we get into the specifics. So Sledgehammer, 3 cost, 3 experience. Item, tool, weapon, melee, takes up 2 hand slots. As an action, fight, using your fist. This attack deals +1 damage. Double action, fight. Using your fist, you get +3 fist for this attack. If you succeed, you may exhaust Sledgehammer for this attack to deal +2 damage. And then, funnily enough, as Spirit Juice is pointing out, with the flavor text, this is 22.5 pounds of Steel Vengeance compared to the 20 and 25 from the level 0 and the level 4 version. So this looks very interesting together. Also, look at that. The art has been zoomed out a little bit. That's actually kind of funny. The art is zoomed out for this one. I think it looks better with the art like that. Sledgehammer actually, now that I'm looking at it like this, actually looks pretty bad for the art. Right? Like the framing on that one, this is much better. Looks like they brightened it too. You can see like over here, they actually made it pop better. That's funny. Anyways, so I think what Sledgehammer is showing here is that melee weapons are going to get weaker. You look at this card in the Legacy mindset, and you say, this is crazy. Like, why would I play this when I could just, like, spend 1 extra resource for Blessed Blade and get +2 and, like, still just get that +1 damage? Because generally what we're looking for in our melee weapons so far in Legacy is consistency, because it allows us to attack every turn with very little risk. And usually the melee weapons that we have seen have been designed in tandem to compete with firearms. So the firearms are able to deal this damage and get these stat boosts, so the melee weapons do too. But I think what Sledgehammer is showing here is that yes, you can get the damage, but if you want to be able to fight with it for 3 actions, you're going to have to find other stat boosts elsewhere, which I think is a very nice change to kind of differentiate ranged weapons and melee weapons. Sledgehammer still has its double action, where you get +3 fist for this attack. If you succeed, you may exhaust it for +2, so it can still deal 3 damage. Like this card can put out 5 damage in 2 attacks, right? If you do the double action, top action, yada yada yada. But it's less consistent on that top action, meaning that ultimately this is a much less set and forget weapon, which again I think is ultimately healthier for the game. I understand when people say that it's like less exciting than what this card does, but I also like I think we've released videos where we talked about melee weapons and how melee weapons were just like a little bit too strong, and I think that the designers agree. And I think that this is a showcase with it, and I would not be surprised to see other melee weapons also drop down in their ability to produce results, while potentially also seeing ranged weapons in the future get better, right? I think that that's going to be like firearms are going to get better. Limited uses are going to be stronger. Unlimited uses, I think, are going to be weaker. And I think that Sledgehammer is the first example that we're going to see for this, and I would not be surprised to see it carry through in the core set and beyond. Yeah, I think it's nice. I do like the progression between the 3 though in Legacy, where like this one's -1, this one is neutral, this one's +1. Again, this could all be thrown out the window. Like I could be wrong about all this. Like maybe there isn't actually there isn't going to be a better version of this, right? Like melee weapons aren't going to be like better. They're going to be better than this. Like they're not going to be on this level. And I could just be eating crow, but that's just my hunch. All right, we also have Endurance as our next card here. So this is the Guardian card from this cycle. This is a 2-cost asset. Lightning Bolt, spend 1 resource, you get +1 fist for the skill test, +2 if this is an attack or evasion. And spend 1 resource, you get +1 foot for this skill, +2 foot instead if it's an attack or evasion. I don't really have too much to say about this card. I think that this cycle is ultimately very, very nice. I think that like some of them are going to be better than others. I think that as we saw right there with Sledgehammer, Endurance becomes a little bit more interesting, right? Like it's oh, I see what they're trying to do here. So again, you have to find those stat boosts elsewhere. If you've always played with Legacy, you started with like a full card pool, that's going to be foreign to you. But this reminds me a lot of when we just first started playing Arkham. Which was an enjoyable time to play Arkham 2, and I'm excited to kind of like start over again with Chapter 2 when we do play that format, which is a fan-made format. It's not official for people who are wondering. Chapter 2, the fan-made format that I'm going to be playing with PBG, is that you only play with the cards available in Chapter 2. So it would be the core set, then the starter decks, and then expansions going forward. It's kind of like a mini Legacy, but just same sort of thing. But yeah, I think this is nice, and I think that I think that this is a nice option to have. When I talk about in the core comparison, we're going to see how these cards, I think they don't do as well. But I think that this is a pretty alright kind of like core set Wolf Mask card from Hemlock Vale that boosts similar stats. So yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's a nice card. Scene of the Crime is back, baby! Play only as your first action, 2 cost, discover clear location, 2 clues instead if there's an enemy at that location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Did this always have a fist and a book and a fist? It did, look at that. Yeah, I think this is a great card to be evergreen. Very healthy, for the Guardian class. And even though Evidence is good, I think Evidence is a good card. I think that Scene of the Crime is a better card. And I think that the play patterns of the people that I've played with have kind of demonstrated that, where Scene of the Crime is played a lot more than Evidence, right? And a perfect Hunter's Instinct target for Daniela. Yeah, that's the other thing to consider, right? Now that we know Daniela's deck building, we can look at these events, the level 0 events, and see if Daniela wants to just like keep looping them, right? But yeah, I think that Scene of the Crime is great to see here. And then our last card here for this batch is Counterattack, and I personally love the hell out of this card. This is a 1 cost, 1 experience event. It's a spirit and a tactic. Fast, play when an enemy attacks an investigator at your location, cancel that attack, deal 1 damage to that enemy. It's dodge with damage. Yes! Yes! I love dodge. I'm a big dodge guy. I think dodge is a fantastic card that people don't play enough of. And dodge that deals damage for 1 XP is like so nice. And I think that it's going to be... I'm going to play this card a lot. I'm going to play it in Legacy. I'm going to play it in Current. I'm going to play it in Chapter 2, right? Like, I think that this is just such a nice upgrade that allows you to change the pace of the game. And really just, I think it's going to be very impactful. And yes, I was thinking the exact same thing, Spirit Juice. In Legacy, Nat Cho is going to love this card. Nathaniel Cho is just going to be like, yeah, I'll take a dodge with damage. Like, I'll take a dodge deal too. Yep, Diana, yes. Yes, like this is a very nice card. And I think that this is the thing that is, for people who haven't played with rotating formats, having cards that are obviously good but already seen ways that they impact Legacy gives you like the idea that, oh, they're not just gonna make weaker cards. Like, these cards are good, and they're always gonna, like, because there's so many diversity, like there's so much it's so diverse with the investigators you can play, that this card is going to, like, every card is going to have, like, an impact, especially once we start getting to the upgraded ones. There's always going to be stinkers. There's always going to be stinkers. I think that that's just kind of, like, unavoidable. But this, I think, is an example of a card that we are already pointing out. We have 3 examples. Nat Cho, Diana Stanley, and Marion, right? Marion Tavares. Like, these are all awesome uses for Counterattack. And like, it's all gonna be pretty sweet. I think overall the Guardian pool is looking really nice. It makes me wonder why Bodyguard and Resilience were started in the official article, because I think realistically these are like, I think Bodyguard is pretty bad. I think Resilience is fine, and you're going to play it, especially in Daniela, if she's anything like the first one. But I think that already, like, some of these other cards are a little bit more interesting. We've seen a lot of the upgraded cards, too. We have a lot of level 0s left to come. But yeah, no, I think that Guardian is going to look really nice when this is all said and done. There has to be some Bodyguard synergy we haven't seen yet. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. I mean, but like Travis brought up something that like Bodyguard also can just be here for people who want soak, right? Because if Daniela is super soak based, you might just want soak, right? Like, it's just like one of those things. If the B-Cop or some other punch boost ally still exists, then I agree. I think there's, yeah, I think Guardian is the class of allies, so I wouldn't be surprised to see another one. yeah. But I think, yeah, I think the Guardian is looking really nice. And I'm excited to see what comes out with the rest of spoiler season, which if you don't know, these are the things. So December 13th, which is the day that this video went live, we're going to see some from Los Archivos de Arkham. Watch It Played on the 15th, Los Archivos again on the 16th, Quick Learner on the 17th, and then Daniela and the last few cards are going to come out on the 18th. So yeah, that is it for this one here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I said, like, next Sunday we'll look at the last cards that come out here, but hell yeah. And I also hear you should watch this this one. I hear that Amber's video is very good, so you should check that out if you haven't. In the meantime, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. Let me know what you think of these Guardian cards down in the comment section below. Even if you don't like them, I'll still read your comment. Even if I disagree, I still love reading it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.